a game, but it's not fair. I break the rules, so I don't care. So I keep doing my own thing, walking tall against the rain. Victories within the mile, almost there, don't give up now. Only thing that's on my mind is who gonna run this town tonight.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fabian Levy, and I serve as Deputy Mayor for Communications for the City of New York. When Mayor Adams asked me to serve in this role, he made it clear that his priority was providing New Yorkers with a better line of sight into how their city government and its employees are addressing important issues and delivering results. As Mayor Adams likes to say, we're going to pivot and shift from time to time, and that's why we're experimenting with another way to talk with all of you. This morning, the mayor has convened some of the senior leadership from City Hall to answer your questions and speak to pressing issues because, as the mayor always says, this administration is comprised of more than just him. We have senior leaders here with decades of experience in public safety, health, economics, operations, law, and so much more. These are the experts, and the mayor and New Yorkers trust those experts. So today, by bringing the broad expertise of city government into one room, we are hopeful that we can break down silos and deliver vital information to New Yorkers in a clear, reliable, and accessible way. The goal is to give all of you in the press corps a day where you know off topics can be asked. You don't have to travel to the deep parts of Queens or Staten Island, but you can literally walk 100 feet down the hall. And to be clear, we'll still be conducting press conferences at sites across the city and right here at City Hall, where you'll still be able to ask plenty of other questions, including if something breaking happens, you can talk about it and ask about it there. But these media availabilities will be about giving you the chance to ask questions with a little less structure. That's what today's event is all about. So this morning, joining us, we have Mayor Eric Adams, First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright, Chief Advisor to the Mayor Ingrid Lewis-Martin, Chief of Staff Camille Joseph-Varlick, Deputy Mayor for Operations Mayor Josie, Deputy Mayor for Housing, Economic Development, and Workforce, Maria Torres-Springer, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, Ann Williams-Isom, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Phil Banks, Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives, Anna Almanzar, and New York City Emergency Management Commissioner, Zach Iskel. From time to time, we may add more people to answer your questions. So without further delay, I'm pleased to turn it over to Mayor Adams.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank you and the Chancellor. On one of our morning briefings, you both stated that we should try to do these briefings one day a week and bring all of the senior leadership, the DMs, and whatever topics are present. And as the Deputy Mayor Levy stated, that this does not stop if there's something breaking in the city where we have to answer questions off topics, we would do so. But we just want to be extremely timely to allow you to plan your calendar to have the joy of seeing me every Tuesday. Some of you, and I emphasize some of you, I enjoy seeing a lot. And so we will have an opportunity to do this. And I want to be clear. It's not that I like my administration. I love the hell out of my administration. These are real New Yorkers, and sometimes because of our authentic approach, we are not AI as in artificial intelligence. We are AI as authentically intelligent. These are real New Yorkers. Hey, and we have a New York attitude. I can't say it any clearer. We are opinionated. We bring a lot of passion to this conversation. And to a lot of people, that's uncomfortable because they're used to rigid, politically correct, always trying to worry about what you say and what you do. That is not how we flow. This is a body of people that are sincere in the work they're doing, and it's expressed every day. And New Yorkers need to see them. They need to see the diversity of my senior team. They need to see how experienced they are and what we have done for this city and its recovery. We cycled through COVID. These are the people who got us through COVID. These are the people who are driving down crime. These are the people who got us through the financial challenges that we face in the city. These are the people who put in place the initiative of taking trash bags off our streets. And many of you don't know it, but I hate rats that are helping me get rid of the rats on the street. You know, these are the people. New Yorkers, this is Team NYC. And our goal here is to be as transparent as possible, to allow you to do your jobs as much as possible and be as accessible as possible. But we have a city to run. And no one can say that when you call this administration to get answers, that Deputy Mayor Levy and his team don't return calls and don't give you the information that you're looking for. We know how transparent we are, and we want you to know what we're doing and the job that this team is doing every single day. And so, Deputy Mayor, we'll turn it over and answer as many questions as possible, and what we can't answer, we get back to folks.
Yep. And I apologize, I didn't mention Chancellor David Banks, who helped come up with this idea. So thank you very much, Chancellor, for joining us today.
You know those teachers.
Smart man. Charles?
Mr. Mayor.
How are you, Marcia?
So the question I'm really interested in is your trip to the border, to Mexico, to Central and South America. I want to know what you want to accomplish, and if you are going to have a message of don't come here because we don't have any room.
When we traveled to El Paso, I brought a team of members down to El Paso. It was an eye-opener for me. I was able to make connection with the mayor of El Paso and the city manager. I was able to see what they were doing, the influx. And we have to solve this problem. Let's be clear. We can't sit back and just, continue to expect that we're going to get the relief that we deserve. We want help from the federal government. We're going to need help from the state. The governor and I have been communicating, and we're going to continue to do that. We are in court on several cases, but I've always been the person that I need to go on the ground. That's why in the beginning of this administration, I responded to crime scenes, because I have to see what's taking place. I want to see the filth of our city. I'm going to be on the subway system to see the crises of homelessness. So I need to go on the ground. My goal is threefold: we're going to Ecuador, we're going to Colombia, and we're going to Mexico. The goal is, number one, I want to see what's happening in the Darien Gap, to see what that flow looks like. I was told by the world leaders who came here during UNGA that there's a heavy flow that's coming through. Number two, I want to give the people of those areas a real story of what is happening in New York City. There's a public relation campaign that people are using in these areas to state that if you come to New York, that you're going to get whatever you need. I want to give them a true picture of what's taking place. This country has always been a country that allowed immigrants to come in. We want to make sure we do it in a responsible way with a real decompression strategy. And then we want partnerships. I want to talk with those the leaders. I believe we're going to be able to meet with the president of Colombia. I spoke with the ambassador the other day. We're going to meet with leaders in Ecuador, leaders in Mexico, and really start having a conversation as cities of what can we do better to deal with this crisis.
So you also going to be carrying the message that are on some of your flyers that there's really no room here in New York City. There's no free lunch. We've run out of space. But in addition to that, will you be able to harness the local media to help you carry that message, and in all three countries, so that you might dissuade people from coming to New York and maybe go other places in the country?
Well, Deputy Mayor Levy and his team, they are going to attempt to get me on as many stations, newspapers, radios, TVs in these areas to give people the honest truth. there's a body of people who are there that are giving them false hopes and false promises. We want to give people a true picture of what is here. And Deputy Mayor Williams Isom, she has made it clear over and over again, we are at capacity. And the buses, we're witnessing a surge now. And the buses are continuing to come, and they're also coming in other means. A lot of people think buses are the only way, but they're coming in other means, through airports, through people driving in. And so we want to give an honest assessment of what we are experiencing here in this city. We are at capacity. Over 117,000. We're still getting, at one time it was 10,000 a month, but I think in the last few days, we're looking at almost 600 a day. These are real numbers, and I must have a local plan, I must have a statewide plan, a federal plan, and I must have an international plan of how do I speak with people in South and Central America. Come on, Mrs. Marsha. You can stop, Marsha. There's a couple more people you can't stop.
Tell me what the true picture you're going to give people there, and tell us in New York what the true picture you're going to give to people there.
Well, we're going to tell them that coming to New York doesn't mean you're going to stay in a 5-star hotel. It doesn't mean that the mere fact you come here, you automatically are going to be allowed to work, which, as you understand, TPS was only given to those Venezuelan. We're going to tell them what the real conditions are. The large number of thousands of people are living in congregate settings. We know that there's a propaganda machine that basically it has given the false promise of what life is like of being a migrant and asylum seeker. And we want to be honest with those who live in these regions.
Marsha, just to add to your last question, we will have local media on the ground that we're going to be inviting to all of our events. I've heard from a number of your colleagues in the press corps, including you, that you might want to go down to some of these locations. So we'll have open press events each day. And then just like we did when we were in Israel, we'll have media availability, virtual media availabilities with folks back here at home to answer questions every single day.
And we hope some of you will. You know, I think that having someone like yourself, an experienced journalist, you know, that's part and see what's going on, I think it would give New Yorkers a real understanding that we believe that this is going to trickle off, and what we're seeing is actually elevated. And having some of you go down and be a part of us and travel with us, you know, we're going into the jungle area to see firsthand. Having you there, I think is going to help you even as you report on this story.
Hey, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. So I know, you know, on the campaign side, you know, but I've heard from the campaign, and you've talked about this. The campaign has checks and balances in place when it comes to political contributions. That said, you know, you had this indictment with the straw donor issue. We've reported, and the city's reported, inconsistencies between kind of the public record with campaign finance and some of the things people listed as donors have said about donations. So my question is are you considering, or is the campaign considering, I mean, I guess it would be you know, engaging in kind of a more robust, comprehensive audit of what happened in 2021 to kind of get to the bottom of that? And if so, what kind of like obstacles does that present from like a logistical and practical perspective for you in the campaign?
Well, and the campaign team can really dig into the crevices of what we do. But it is impressive, the level of scrutiny that we do beyond campaign finance board's rules. Every person that contributes to the campaign, the signatures are compared. Then we pay an additional compliance attorney that before anything is deposited in the bank, there's another level of scrutiny to look at the check. We have sent back thousands of dollars of those items that our compliance attorney stated it does not fit the muster. And so the inconsistency is not in the records. Out of the thousands of contributions we received, there are reports that individuals have stated they don't recall making a contribution. I don't know of those who stated that they didn't. And whenever someone indicates that there's a problem with their contribution, we send their contribution back. I strongly believe that any records that are done is going to be scrutinized. So I've built out our compliance system to make sure that we could withstand any scrutiny. And I have not heard one report from a reviewer that stated the Adams campaign in any way did anything that was inappropriate. I've heard just the opposite, you know. So you're always trying to review, you're always trying to do better, to find different ways. But I'm clear at every fundraiser, you must make a contribution in your name, and it must be based on records. We don't play those games here, and we're never going to play those games here. And I think that, so if there are inconsistencies, it's not in our records. The person who says they made the contribution compares to the application that they filled out, because everyone must fill out an application. The signatures match, and we double check and triple check. It goes through three levels of vetting to check. And so we're following the rules to the letter, because I always want to be able to say we could take the scrutiny.
Oh, yes, following up on the migrant, did you invite anybody from the city, the state, or the federal government to go on this trip with you? What was their response? And can we get an update on Floyd Bennett Field? What's going on there?
Yes, we invited Congressman Espaillat. He was going down already. He had to shift because of what's happening in Washington right now. We would have loved for him to join us. We were also, Francisco Moya is from Ecuador. He was going to join us as well. And then the last minute he had to change because of a concerning family matter. He was looking forward to join us. He was excited about us going down to Ecuador. But those were the two individuals that we reached out to and said that they wanted to join us on the trip.
And then an update on Floyd Bennett Field. Do we know what's going on there?
Lisa?
Take it.
I don't know if this is on.
Don't touch it.
Okay, doesn't matter. On Floyd Bennett, I'm not sure if you're talking about operationally or legally, so I'll just address both very briefly. Operationally, plans are proceeding to build the structures that are part of the very important step and agreements reached among the feds, the state, and the city regarding putting structures there. And it is an important step to acknowledge that there are very limited spaces, and that agreement is a really important one and was the first of its kind. In terms of the legal suit that was filed by some in the state to stop Floyd Bennett from proceeding, the update there is that the lawsuit has been removed to federal court in the Eastern District of New York. Magistrate Judge Cho was assigned, I believe, today, and no district court judge has yet been assigned, so we're waiting for that, and there's no scheduled court date yet. We're waiting for a federal district judge.
Mr. Mayor, you've discussed this public campaign down in Mexico or other South American countries. Could you detail what this campaign is, painting this rosy picture of migrating to New York City and what the expectations are, and provide some, is it coming through on WhatsApp? Is it coming through as these flyers being handed out? How is this being transmitted to people? And we've reported
those who are coming to?
Yeah, what you're trying to counter on this trip.
Got it.
And we reported yesterday on this potential wave coming in of possibly 500 to 600 migrants a day, which would put us up to like 4,200 a week, which is a record-breaking number. So with that, it was told that you need more hotel rooms and or more sites. How many more sites would the city need, and where would you be finding them?
Okay, so Deputy Mayor Williams-Ice will go into, or Chief of Staff Camille Joseph Volokh will go into the build-out. What we learned when we were in El Paso is that there are Facebooks, social media sites, everything that you can think of that is used now to communicate with people, that there were real campaigns of sending people to New York. Governor Abbott primed the pump, and that pump is now flowing freely from all over the globe. West Africa, Eastern European countries, South and Central America. The flow has increased and intensified. And so we need to counteract those forms of communications that are basically saying you come to the city of New York, you're going to automatically have a job, you're going to be in a five-star hotel, all of those things that those who we believe are part of these smugglers, are just encouraging people to come to the city. We just want to give them a real narrative of the congregate settings of you're not going to automatically find employment and give people the honest truth.
That just specifically, have you worked with the feds at all? If this is smuggling groups, it would obviously be illegal activity. So have you worked with the federal government and working with Facebook or X or whatever to take these down and maybe share these as false flyers?
All of these items that you mentioned, from our communication with the federal government to reaching out to social media groups, you still have a serious, there's a lot of things on social media. You guys have heard me wailing about it over and over again, that they're slow on dealing with how I think these platforms are playing roles in social conditions. There's a reluctancy to do so, and so we need to counteract that. And that was what that was what the role that Deputy Mayor Williams Isom put together to communicate with people in any manner possible to give them the true picture. Can we talk about the numbers?
Yeah, can I, I'll start, Camille, and then you could add. I want to start with, I can't believe that we're still in this situation, that we're talking about how many more sites we want to open. We have 118,000 people that have come to New York City. This is a national and an international crisis. And so I am frustrated that we are still talking about what's happening. We are very, very concerned. I'm concerned about families with children. I'm concerned about the people that are coming here. We say, Marsha, you were talking about, well, what's the condition? It's not good to have trying to raise your children in a hotel room. And everyone seems to think that that's okay, and you're asking how many more hotel rooms we're going to need. And this is why we really need a decompression strategy, so that as people are coming over, we can send them to other parts of the United States where there's more room. So I just wanted to say, Craig, I am very concerned. We have seen an increase already. Again, I cannot believe that we're here again 17 months into this when we're talking about 600 people a day, 800 people a day. The Roosevelt, I think right now, has 412 people who are waiting for a placement. So yeah, we're trying to do everything as we can. I think we've shown the nation what a humanitarian response looks like, but clearly we cannot be asked to sustain this. Camille, is there anything you want to add?
Sure. I think the only other thing that I would add is we've already seen the uptick. I think many of you will have seen the surge that's happening at the border. Last week, we received, I think, in excess of 15 to 17 buses. The state of Texas has consolidated their bus operations, so they're not sharing the information that we would have received previously. We received, I think, 6 buses yesterday. We're expecting to get 8 buses today. We have no idea how many folks are going to be on those buses. So we continue to plan. We meet several times a day looking at our capacity, the folks that have left our system, the folks that we expect to leave our system. We have a robust case management program where we encourage families and individuals to really think about what their next steps are going to be and try to help them to get there, in addition to reticketing. So all of those things remain in place, and we are all closely aligned to many of the folks that are here, as well as many other teams, other New York City employees who have been working on this crisis 24/7 to make sure that we have the capacity that we need. But we may see lines, right? We may see folks that are waiting on lines, because when it comes down to it, separate from the buses, and again, we're receiving on average about 6 a day. We're still not at the height. I think at our height, we received maybe 15 buses in one day. We still have many, many people that are coming in every other way that you can think of. And so it's hard to predict what the numbers are going to be, but we continue to do as best as we can to be prepared.
I would just add also to that, Camille's talking about the uptick in buses we're having. Remember, we still are getting people by planes, by trains, by automobile, by walking in. So we're still getting thousands of people every single week that are not just coming on chartered buses. So that's not the only way people are coming in. Mm-hmm. And I would also remind people, we've been saying this for a while. We're past our breaking point at this. We have opened 210 sites, 17 large-scale humanitarian relief centers. every single day, our team is doing a Herculean job trying to accommodate folks, and do what we can. This summer we used dorms, for example, in order to shelter people while, kids were out of school. That's not the case, obviously, in the fall, so we have to keep, pivoting and shifting, as the mayor always likes to say.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Good. I wanted to ask you about the security risks associated with a trip like this. Now, I see that the State Department, it classifies Colombia as a level 3, which means it's asking Americans to reconsider travel. There are parts of the Darien Gap that it tells Americans not to go to at all. Have you consulted with federal officials on how you'll run your security? How many NYPD officers are you bringing, and who's going to pay for their travel?
So let's peel that back in layers. There is a real safety risk. We are aware of that, and the entire team that decided to be a part of this trip, they are aware of that as well. I believe that I trust the NYPD, and we have been collaborating with the officials on the ground. The trip would have been canceled if there was a shutdown because it would have interfered with the safety apparatus. We have been communicating with the officials on the ground who are going to complement our detail. When it comes down to the number and all those other items, Intel handles that. I do not get involved with how Intel make the determination of securing my safety as the mayor. The cost of this trip, I'm paying my own way, and you know my rule, my dime, my time, don't whine. Again, Intel is going to determine that, and I'm sure you want me to be safe. And so the last thing we should be talking about is how much it costs to keep your mayor safe. You want me to come back here so I can continue doing the great job I'm doing as the mayor of the city of New York, and Intel would make sure to the best of their ability that I'm safe to get there and to come back as they did with other locations.
So, Mr. Mayor, in terms of this campaign that you're going to be going on the media down there, do you really think that's going to convince people not to come here if they've heard, for months and months that they could get a hotel room here, or, New York City is going to take care of them like the city has been doing? And then also, a couple of groups came out yesterday, New York Immigration Coalition, Working Families Party, and they talked about this trip being kind of a waste of your time. You can't really influence international policy. What's your response to that? I have a list in my office that no matter what we do, the same names pop up all the time. So who are we kidding? If I buy free food for a child, they're going to stand up and say, you didn't make it plant-based. We can't get into that. Mommy always said, nothing beats an effort but to try. I have a crisis in the city that I love, and I have to face that crisis on a local, state, national, and international level. And if I can start a conversation in these countries that people saying the mayor of the city of New York is telling us when we go there, we're not going to be in the five-star hotel, as many people have told us. If that can resonate and start that conversation there, I'm going to try. It would be foolish for me to sit back and not try to stop this on a local, state, national, and international level.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, two questions. First, can you say who from this table is going with you and who isn't NYPD, who's not part of your security detail, is going with you south of the border? And then secondly, do you stand by your chief advisor's contention that the federal government needs to close the borders?
The chief of staff will give you the list of who's going. She has been making sure we coordinate all of that. And listen, Ingrid's more than my chief advisor. Ingrid is my sister. She's been with me on this journey throughout this journey. And Ingrid, like me, we have a lot of compassion and passion when it comes down to the city that we love. Her husband served in the New York City Police Department. We were in the police academy together. And one thing I learned from her, she has her ears to the ground, and she knows what New Yorkers are feeling. She's an everyday New Yorker, and I'm just so happy that she has been on this journey with me. We believe the borders should remain open. That's the official position of this city, but we have made it clear there should be a decompression strategy that we could properly deal with the volumes that's coming into our city, and no cities should have to carry the burden of the national government.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Mayor. Are you planning to bring with you any Spanish literature to convey your message? Because how can people understand in Colombia, Mexico, Panama?
Yes, we are, and one of my heroes in this administration is going to be coming with us. Commissioner Castro, former Dreamer, as you know, fluent in Spanish. He was here from the start, and he, with Deputy Mayor Williams Isom, they have done just a Herculean task of just navigating this complexity. And so, yes, we are. We're going to try to communicate as much as possible with people to give the real story of what's playing out here. And Commissioner Castro, and we have other Spanish speakers that will be with us on this trip.
Just to answer the previous question.
You're good, Kate. We're going to do more.
Commissioner Castro and Commissioner Mermelstein from International Affairs will be traveling. Both will also be paying their own way, so the city taxpayers will not be spending money on their trip.
And we should be clear. This could be done on taxpayers' dime. Let's be clear on that. Taxpayers can pay for this trip. We made the determination that during these tough fiscal times that we're going to pick up our tab, but there's nothing illegal or unethical if we would have charged this to taxpayers. We are not. We're not.
Mayor, just one question on migrants and then a quick question on the topic. As far as migrants, we've heard you from the beginning call for a decompression strategy at the border. What's the latest on that conversation with the federal government? And what's the reason the Biden administration is giving you as far as why they're not doing it?
If you're going to ask it all at once.
Okay, second question, sorry about that. Unrelated topic, Gail Brewer is asking for you to move the Global Citizen Festival from Central Park because of damage to the Great Lawn. Any consideration toward that?
I would reach out to Councilwoman Brewer and sort of figure out what is her concerns. We're not looking to damage the Great Lawn, but I don't want to damage the lawn in Prospect Park. I don't want to damage the lawns anywhere. And so the parks belong to the people, and we should all share the use of the parks, and no park is better than the others. And so I will find out exactly what is the reason she wants that done, and I'll communicate and find out. I don't know the answer to why we are not putting in place a real decompression strategy. I think that in my conversations with the White House, that we have some ex-retired generals that understand deployment and mobilization. I really believe that there should be a national czar that's going to look at how we can do a real decompression strategy. We have over 108,000 city, towns, and villages in our country. This should not be just on a few cities.
Can I just add, Mayor? This morning, I don't know if you all saw on CNN, they were reporting about how the White House specifically was pointing to Illinois and Chicago and how they should be following the best practices here in New York. So our decompression strategy, we haven't seen one for the federal government. We're doing one on our own here, but we still need one from the feds. But they're talking about our best practices here in New York. And I'd remind you, Massachusetts Governor Healy called for the federal government to act a few weeks back. Overnight, you saw Illinois Governor Pritzker also ask for the federal government to take action, and this is an unsustainable situation.
And everyone, I'm glad you pointed that out, everyone that visited our intake center, even those who critiqued and criticized it, when they walked through and they saw what we're doing in this city, everyone stated that this is an unbelievable job New York City is doing, unlike any other area in the country. And that's commendable to this team that's up here. No. Don't. If you do, they're gonna write about me. Like, get a couple more.
I wanted to ask you, Mayor Adams and Chancellor Banks, going back to Friday's storm. I know there was a story last night in Chalkbeat. You said on the air during your press conference that there's a shelter in place for schools, but principals at the schools, the 1,400 schools around the city, said they were not made aware of that. I know even city employees beyond the Department of Education received at like 12:30 p.m. an option to work from home, which felt a little bit too little, too late. I wanted to get both you and Chancellor Banks' take. Why wasn't there more communication with the schools? Are teachers and principals expected to like turn on the TV in the middle of a school day and watch a press conference to find out what's going on within their school? Or should there have been better notification at schools and then with city employees, perhaps a work from home day could have been instituted?
Okay, you said I said there was a shelter in place in schools?
I think on Friday you said shelter in place.
No, we said that the safest place for children in schools. That's what I said. The safest place for children.
Someone said shelter.
Okay. So we'll let the chancellor. Huh?
I mean, I can check the transcript, but you didn't
Okay.
say shelter.
I don't know if I use the term shelter in place. I said the safest place for school. Okay. But anyway, the chancellor made the determination of what should be done. Chancellor, can you go into that?
You should have had stronger communication on that.
We'll use the mic.
We should have had clearer communication. So let me say that at the outset. All of our kids were safe. We had no issues with any of our kids. But I think this incident does suggest to us that we needed to have a clearer level of communication all the way through. The term shelter in place itself as a term has it's a protocol that's attached to the Department of Education. And I think what we're trying to say to everybody was stay where you are, don't send kids out into the streets. But shelter in place essentially is a terminology that says nobody's allowed into the school as well, which could in fact create a level of chaos with parents and families who are rushing to the schools to get their kids as well. And so we have to be clearer going forward. We're doing our own internal review of this as we are speaking now, and the level of communication, City Hall, Department of Education, all of us working very closely together. The main thing is that we communicated clearly enough with our superintendents and principals where nothing happened, but we can do better, and I think we will certainly be working to do better next time.
And that's part of the after agency review and probably using the terminology, spinning off of what the chancellor was saying about shelter in place. But I really look towards the chancellor to make the determination on what we should do around the schools. We do this on our 8 a.m. calls every morning. And we should really understand we had record level of rain that we've never witnessed before. 0 serious physical injuries, 0 deaths, 3 rescues from basement apartments, 15 rescues from cars. When you look at an issue of that magnitude, and I was out there, you saw just really the coordination. Every major incident that happened in the city, we go do an after agency review. We sit down and say, hey, what could we have done better? How do we do it better? And we have never proclaimed once that we are perfect. In fact, I've made it clear over and over again that I'm perfectly imperfect. And the team is going to continuously evolve the product as we come with these unprecedented storms that are hitting us. We're continually learning from other municipalities, what they do. We're continually evolving. And I said it then, I'm gonna say it again. I commend the chancellor that it was a tough call. People were saying, close the schools, send children homes. The safest place for children, I've said it over and over again, they should be in a school building. And we disrupt the lives of working class people when all of a sudden you close the school and you don't allow them to have that stationary, safe place for them.
I think this is also just a good place to plug Notify NYC. If you have not signed up for Notify NYC, please do so. You can call 311, download the app, or go to nyc.gov/notify. This is how we get out our first initial alerts. So please sign up for Notify NYC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking the question. I do have 2 questions.
Yes.
The first one is we're all waiting today for the city to submit its papers in court about the right to shelter and what the latest ask is of the court in terms of how you want to limit the right to shelter. So my first question is, since we may not see you, you'll be away, we may not be able to ask you about it for a few days or maybe a week. Can you put into your words what it is that you'll be asking the court to do on the right to shelter differently? Will it only apply to migrants? How will it be different from the initial submission that you guys made? And then, should I ask the second question
Yes,
now, or-
please.
Okay. The second question is about a different subject. It's about the situation at Ebbets Field. You and I have talked about this before. The man who is the suspect in that arson case is now in jail.
Yes.
He's been charged with hate crimes since our reporting aired, but it was a long road for the people, the neighbors in the building who felt that a year of 911 calls had not really produced a law enforcement or a mental health solution. I know it's a tricky, complicated situation, but you did go visit. And I wonder, why did you knock on his door when you went to visit? B, you told the tenants that you would help them to try to resolve this and try to get him out. He's also been evicted. What, if anything, did you do to help them besides visit? And would you have an after-action review on that case? What would you like to see done differently if this were, God forbid, to happen again?
First, the courts are going to decide, the court counsel is going to decide how we're going to deal with the case in court. We've always felt that the issue around migrants is totally different. This is a crisis, humanitarian crisis, and our legal team is going to play that out. They're turning in a letter to the judge as requested, and they're going to play that out. And I don't want to interfere with the court case at all. We believe we need some form of relief. The incident that happened at Ebbets Field was an important incident. And it's a real challenge when you're dealing with a person who's dealing with mental health issues. It's a real challenge. The residents of Ebbets Field that I served as the borough president and the senator, individuals that I knew, when they reached out to me, I reached out. And I tried to find ways to really resolve the tension and concern that the residents were having. We reached out to our mental health professionals and saw that it was their role that they can play also in this incident. I communicated with the tenants, and I made sure that the police department did a thorough investigation. I communicated with the district attorney and stated that we should make sure that this person does not harm someone. And I think all the teams came together and they were able to come to the resolution that we are right now. And so no way I wanted to interfere with the processes that were taking place, but I wanted to let the residents know, like I do often, that I'm an on-the-ground mayor, and I wanted to come and speak directly with them and find out what happened.
And just finally, why did you knock on his door?
I would love to have communicated with him also to find out what was happening. You know, what was the whole issue? What's going on? We weren't at the point that it was any criminal charge was filed, and my goal was to try to find out what's going on in the building.
Thanks very much, everyone. We got it.
Hold on. We're gonna take a few more. I know you're ready to bounce, Charles, but this is our inaugural get together, you know, and so you know, this is our fireside chat. So I'm hoping that I can get Mike Gardner to say at least they wrote, you know, they were very patient during this time.
That's
you
right.
know, so we.
Amen. Amen.
Can you give your name and your outlet?
Yeah, my name is Jason Bieferman. I'm with Politico New York. I wanted to ask with the upcoming city council elections if you're worried about the GOP gaining seats and influence as these elections are coming up.
No, I think the people who speak on behalf of their voters on the ground, it's all about speaking to the voters. And that is how you win elections. Go on the ground, speak to the voters. And all of those seats that are coming up, we're going to be doing some endorsements in those races. But it's about speaking to the voters, and you know that is what's going to determine the outcome of these races.
Thank you. I'm wondering, going back to asylum seekers, if you can provide an update on when you last spoke with the White House about what's going on here in New York. I know there was some progress made on some big asks like Floyd Bennett Field and TPS for Venezuelans. What is the next priority ask from the federal government on what you need here in the city to deal with being at a breaking point, as you say?
International Affairs, Tiffany Raspberry and the Chief of Staff, they have been the primary communicators with the White House. And we've been extremely consistent. Even we spoke with corporate leaders yesterday. Decompression strategy. We need a state of emergency that will really free up several things for us, for the state and all those cities that are impacted. Proper funding. This should not come out of New York City's budget. And really, TPS, we should extend it. You know, everyone should have the right to work if you are in the city. And those are the, you know, the primary things. And then we should help. We need help with, as Deputy Mayor Williams-Isom is continually trying to process the paperwork. It's unbelievable, the amount of paperwork, and we need to clear up the backlog. Because to do the paperwork, to sit on someone's desk, is just inefficient. And so we were extremely thankful for TPS, for the number of Venezuelans, but we want to be real careful. We don't want folks spiking the ball. We have a long way to go. And when the Chief of Staff and her team briefed me last night and this morning, New Yorkers are going to start to see visibly that what being out of room means. We are out of room, and we're getting ready to take a real shift in this whole crisis.
And Mayor Adams, if I may,
Yes.
with the TPS.
Hold on, one more.
With the TPS, we're also asking them to allow the migrants not to have to pay the fee, the $410. If you
Right.
process it online, there's a $410 fee. We want that fee waived.
Right.
It's 410 and then 85 actually, so almost 500, 2 fees.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Good point.
Deputy Mayor Ann Williams-Isom said that there were 412 people who were at the Roosevelt Hotel waiting for placement. I wonder what that means in terms of the new busloads of people who are coming in, and are we going to see more lines outside the Roosevelt Hotel, or what? So what does that mean?
Yes, you are going to continue to see lines outside of the Roosevelt. Yes, you are going to continue to see lines outside of the Roosevelt. New Yorkers should prepare that you're going to see lines over the next coming weeks and months because, again, there is a surge at the border. New York is out of capacity, and we now don't have as much knowledge or insight into the number of buses that are going to be showing up. So I think I mentioned earlier, there are 8 buses that are supposed to come to New York City today. We have no idea how many folks are on those buses or when those buses are going to come here. And again, as the team does every single day, we will work to find a place to shelter folks.
Mayor, do you have a list of haters hanging up in your office? As long as you're not on it, you're good. You gotta stand up. I saw you didn't see you. We'll try to come back to you.
No, answer it. Go ahead.
If you could just identify. Yeah, sorry, Nick Pinto, Helgate. The question is, last week,